Uncle Chunt.
Hello, welcome to episode of the Chuntcast number 34, I believe it is. Yes, hello again. It is Sunday. I am your host, Uncle Chunt, talking head from down under, budding comic book creator and man in the middle, as always. Before we begin, if you haven't already, just consider joining the Chunt Corps by clicking all the social links and subscribing and all that good stuff, just to get that out of the way at the top of the show. So, why am I wearing a Justice League hat? Well, funny story. Because of my review of the movie of Zack Snyder's Justice League, Binge reached out to me afterwards and said, hey, just as a thanks, we'd like to send you a bit of swag. I was like, oh yeah, cool, no worries. That's a nice gesture. I didn't prompt for it. It was just, they just DM'd me again after the fact, and I had no idea what was coming. And when I got the parcel, obviously there's, I'll plug them. There was a little Binge, like one of those mobile phone kind of extension things. I haven't put it on there yet, but I don't know what they're called. You put your fingers on it. It makes you hold your phone easier, and a Binge sticker. But the good stuff is the hat, which like looks really good, if I don't say so myself, and a shirt. So one of the questions is, they said, oh, so what's your shirt size? So there you go, Zack Snyder's Justice League, and Binge on the back there. So that's all right. I mean, this is a 2XL. So I laughed when I I laughed. Like a 2XL is like, I'll put it on my leg and that's as far as it'll go. Even though it's a shirt, it doesn't go on your leg. But you get the idea. I haven't dared try it out yet because I just don't want to disappoint myself. You know, last week I said about setting yourself up for disappointments. This is one of those things where I've decided not to. But who knows? I mean, it's a big 2XL. Unless I'm just misjudging it. I don't know what type of shirt, what part of the world those are from, because there's different sizings everywhere. I'm a bigger fella. If you haven't seen my banners on social media, you get the idea. Or just on my thumbnail, sometimes I'll be there crossing my arms. So you get an idea of like, I'm a sizable lad. And when they sent the 2XL, after I told them what to send, I did say, look, don't feel obliged if you can't find anything, because I guarantee you they won't be having shirts lying around in my girth. So it's cool. It's a nice memento. I'll just hang it up on a clothes hanger or something as just like, oh, that was a cool moment, and just I've got the cap, so that's fine. I didn't ask for anything, I didn't need anything, I didn't expect anything, so no complaints from me. So that's my little story I wanted to share with you. Cool. So first off, as always, the Ask Chunt segment is what I start off with. It's just as a way to kind of, you know, have some community interaction on the show. I have a question on here every week, and that's by you guys, whoever leaves a comment on the videos or on social media somewhere. If they DM me, I mean, if I hopefully see them. More often than not, it's easier just to get me in the comment section on the videos, or when I'm posting them on Twitter or Facebook. And if you have a question, just leave them there. Anyway, so today's one, I've got it on screen now. Yes, I do. Go to here is from Mr. M. Mr. M. He left a comment on last week's video saying, if there could be one superhero to exist into the real world, who would it be and why? Now, this is going to be a boring answer and a probably obvious one and telegraphed somewhat. But look, you can't choose anyone else really than Superman. I know everybody just clicked off just now because, oh, far out, Chunt. All right, no worries. You could have chosen anything. But who else would you choose? I mean, Superman's my guy. I mean, I've got a giant statue there behind me. I've always loved him. You know, I was one of those kids running around with a red sheet, a spare red sheet or a tea towel or something, and I had like got a black marker out and wrote an S on it. And I was one of those kids, so Superman forever. So I know there's plenty of other solutions, maybe like Bruce Wayne or someone like that. I don't know who could actually do physical change in the world, not so much just fly around and be an icon and punch things. Because we don't have supervillains on Superman levels. Like, I get it, we're not fighting space aliens and threats from beyond the stars yet, but who else would you choose? He's the example of hope that humanity to strive towards. Like, that's what he sets himself as. you know, he doesn't solve the world's problems. He's there to like show how you can be, or how you can be a better person, you know, strive for something better. That's his whole thing. Right, besides being everything, the strongest and powerful and all that kind of shit. So I think that's good. I think the world needs it right now. Not to get into social politics or anything like that, but I think the world needs a Superman to kind of take the weight off everybody, because everything's so dire and, you know, serious and hopeless, near hopelessness in recent times. And it'd be good if we had something that would just show us like, far out, there's a way out of this. But I don't have the answers for that kind of stuff, and I'm not going to go into it. But that's why I think he'd be good to just have around, you know. Otherwise, I don't really. Who else can really make change? You've got all the billionaires in the world with all of the money, like all of the money, and they're not really doing, or at least I'm not seeing physical change in the world or social change in the world that benefits everything, or like the disparity across the world is still the same or worse in some cases. So I'm not going to trust a vigilante superhero who's got all the money in the world, because you've got people there that can do that already and they don't do it. So I think it takes someone like a Superman to really just kind of, you know, force the thumb down a little bit. You know, if I gained the powers of Superman, surprisingly one day, I fear that I would be like an Injustice Superman or a Homelander type. Like, I would have enough at some point. I'd be like, all right, I'm gonna rule this shit. You know, that probably says a lot more about me than I probably should reveal. But you know, things have to change. Sometimes you have to force it to. As you know, Bruce Wayne says in Batman vs Superman. Anyway, so yeah, I hope that answers your question. It's probably a bit of a darker answer than I actually expected giving, but here we are. So thank you, Mr. M. Hopefully I'll see you in the comment sections in this one as well, and beyond. So first off, we've got a lot of stuff to talk about today, but I'm going to try and condense it down because it is a lot. First off, I think I should really just breach the topic of this Suicide Squad trailer that came out. James Gunn Suicide Squad trailer came out yesterday, I believe. And look, I'm going to give my first impressions on it. I'm going to preface this because I saw it first thing in the morning. I was still in bed. You know, as you do, you roll over and get your phone. It was like 5 a.m. or something, and I had to get up to do a Let's Talk Games podcast, and there was a mix-up in times there, so I only had like 3 or 4 hours sleep or whatever. So I don't know if that might have played into some of my first impressions, but I'm just giving you the context as to my impressions of it. So I'm watching that, you know, oh, okay, flicking through my notifications, and I see a bunch of like stuff about a new trailer. I'm like, all right, cool. Oh, it's James Gunn. All right, so it must be Suicide Squad. So I kind of just made sure both of my eyes were opening and focusing, and you know, watched it kind of like, yeah, as you do. And yeah, look, I was a bit disappointed, to be honest. First off, I will add more to that, but first off, it wasn't what I was expecting it to be. But then again, I don't know what I was expecting. I was in the camp of like, I don't want a Suicide Squad like Guardians of the Galaxy. We're kind of getting that here, but it's not full. But it's like James Gunn is just James Gunning himself in this one. Like, there's dick jokes and shit, and that I was like, come on, that's a low bar. Like, a lot of the jokes in it are real kind of like low bar that I expected more. I guess you know, then again, I don't know what else I was expecting from a James Gunn movie. Like, they're all kind of like that. So take that for what you will. But otherwise, like, it looks like it's going to be fun. Margot Robbie looks stunning as always, and she just nails her role. Like, even just in that trailer, she just outshines everybody. Like, her Harley Quinn is just so strong. I'm keen to see that again. Like, if anything, besides the other thing I'll mention, but if anything, it's just going to be nice to see her Harley Quinn again. And this still is in the Zack Snyderverse, because he and his wife are producers on this film, and you know, Captain Boomerang's in it. It's the same guy, the same Harley Quinn, the same Amanda Waller, You know, they're all the same players that are in this one as well. So that's cool. There's some connective tissue. And people were saying that Birds of Prey wasn't in the same universe, but it was. Because Harley references Captain Boomerang in the police station. It's like, hey, well, there's a photo on the wall or a wanted poster. It's like, hey, I recognize that guy. You know, that kind of stuff. So it's all connected. So that's cool for me. I guess it just means like the Zack Snyder's Justice League isn't the end of everything as far as the DCU goes. So that aside, my favorite things in the trailer, I'll just start talking about. I don't want to talk about the negatives too much, and I just want to gloss over that too much. I watched it twice more that day, still had the same kind of on the level feeling about it. You know, I'm going to be there in the movies, I'm going to see it, and I'm probably going to be blown away by it, which I hope so, because the Guardians movies are so strong that I have hope for this film. Just trailers, man, they're hit or miss depending on what it is. Anyway, so Peacemaker, John Cena's Peacemaker. That was my favorite thing in the trailer. I like John Cena. He's got such good comedic timing, which is surprising. I didn't expect that coming out of him. Like I wasn't a fan of him in his wrestling days. I knew who he was and what he does, and I've seen more about him behind the scenes in interviews and stuff than him in the ring. So I know the kind of person he is and the effect that he has on fans. And it's great to see, like, he's a straight up and down kind of guy, optimistic, and you know, he's always putting the best out there, and that's good. I really like that about him. So I have time for him when he does movies, just because of that. Like, I like the guy. So whatever. But when they first revealed him months ago as Peacemaker, I was like, yes, cool. You know, that's great. He looks the part. He just he owns that helmet. Like that, come on. That helmet is just so goofy, but I love it. It's great. So like leaning on the comic aspect of it all. But the Dick Joker could have done without, but the way that he delivered it was good. You know, so that's why I'm like, all right, I have hope for this. Even if there's bad jokes in it, the actors can kind of hopefully work with the material and execute it better than the jokes are. Stallone as King Shark. That was funny. King Shark rose to fame or infame and infamous, became infamous through the Harley Quinn animated TV show. You know, King Shark is a shark, you know, that kind of guy. Which is good. He was a fan favorite in that show, and it's carried over here to this. It's just a logical thing. You know, you got these breakout characters sometimes. King Shark was like a unknown character, just so low tier that they've even changed his design in recent media to the kind of great white looking shark. In the comics, he's a hammerhead. So that was asked early days when this movie was coming out or being shown around as far as promotional material and interviews, and fans are asking like, why isn't he a hammerhead? And the explanation was given that it's hard to make a character whose eyes are on the sides of their head, you know, like out here somewhere. It's hard to get them to look at things or emote accordingly. Like, you can't see their eyes if you're front on with them, or are you going to always have them like looking at you like stink eye all the time? You know, I understand that, and that makes sense. And whatever, the King Shark thing, the Great White, they did it in the Flash show as well. I just think that's just how it's going to be from now on. So whatever, it is what it is. But the Stallone thing I didn't know until yesterday, and I think most people didn't realize until yesterday as well. And it was in the credits of the trailer, so, and it sounds like him when you rewatch it, and then it was later confirmed anyway. So that's funny, right? That's funny, like the hand, like that thing. Yeah, I'm keen to see that, and just him ripping dudes apart and eating that dude. I was like, holy shit, man! Like, that'd be, imagine being that guy. You know, I don't know how he's going to fit all of him in there. Like, is he going to bite him in half or something? You know, that was my thought. How is he going to fit a whole human in him when he's the size of a human himself? Anyway, we'll see how that goes. There's many questions coming out of this trailer. And I'll get on STARRO in a minute. That was the big reveal in this trailer, which was leaked or at least keen-eyed fans picked up on it months ago when set photos and stuff were coming out, and the DC fandom was showing photos and footage and stuff. But I want to talk about, I'll go into this in a bit more in depth in a couple of topics, but I saw in all the replies on social media and on the YouTube channels with this trailer, you've got all these people that are leaving comments of Restore the Snyder Cut, like hashtag Restore the Snyder Cut. And I'm just like, come on guys, like I'm clearly on that team. I'm clearly on that side. Like I want the Snyderverse or whatever to continue. Well, these characters that Zack Snyder built, I want that to continue with or without him. With him preferably, but I want them to continue. But I just had to roll my eyes and groan. I was like, shit, man, we're gonna have how many more years of this? Like you just got the movie, the Zack Snyder's Justice League. You just got it. Give it a break a little bit, and just see what this new regime is bringing to us first, and before you start abusing them. But I'll get into that in a few moments. But I just want to touch on that because it was just immediate. It's one of the first things I saw when I closed the trailer video playing and started looking at replies, and it's all hashtag Restore the Snyder Cut. And I was like, fire out. Anyway, but STARRO. Let's talk about STARRO for a moment. Alright, so this guy, who you might have seen in the trailer. So first off, what is STARRO? I know a lot of people don't understand what STARRO is. Those of you or us that have read DC Comics for forever, we've seen STARRO here and there, and he's popped up in different mediums over the years. But he's like one of the first big DC Comics Justice League of America villains, funnily enough. Like in the Golden Age, back in the 1960s, as Brave and the Bold, issue 28. Which was also the first appearance of the Justice League of America. So that's some bit of trivia there for you. So you had all the big players on there. You can kind of, they cut off a little bit because I had to fit it for size there. But Martian Manhunter and Flash and Wonder Woman, Green Lantern, Green Arrow, and they're all there. So that's where STARRO comes from. But what does he do? What's the go with this giant starfish that you saw in that trailer going, what the hell is this? Well, basically, he's a giant alien being. He's a big creature from outer space. He's got psychic powers. He can spawn, as you can see, like millions of little STARROs, like little STARRO spores that latch onto people's faces, and they can get mind controlled and all that kind of stuff. They just latch onto the host and take over their body, basically. Which you see King Shark covered in bites in the trailer, and I don't know if that's because he gets covered in STARROs at some point. I don't know, but because they all have little beaks or teeth behind them, like on their backs, that latches on the people. So yeah, that's where STARRO is and where it comes from. So what did I think of that? Man, it blew my brain. Like I saw all the leaks, and not the leaks, but I saw the screenshots of the DC fandom footage of like these pink things on people's faces, and I'm like, no way. Like they're not going to do STARRO. Like that's so out there. Like what? Really, that's a kind of a deep cut in today's standards. You don't really see him too often anymore. But then I thought, well, it is James Gunn. Look at the roster that he chose. the D and E and F list of like villains. I'm not surprised that he's there, but I'm so happy that he is. It's just insane. Like one of the most recent Justice League comic book runs featured like a baby STARRO, and it became like a fan favorite character, very a lovable kind of creature thing. I've got the books over there. I'm not going to spend too much time explaining it, but the seeds have been planted there for a while. And even in Zack Snyder's Justice League, you see Steppenwolf use these spider-like creatures that are like pink, purplish kind of star crab things that latch onto people's faces. So it's been in there for a while, this kind of STARRO, the coming of STARRO. So I wonder how long these discussions have been behind the behind the scenes. So when he comes out and busts out of the building and steps on the car and everybody's just looking at him and holy crap, and you see the guy looking at the footage on the screen like, oh my god, it's a kaiju, you know, that's all funny and stuff. That got me more excited to see this movie, just to see how these F-list villains are going to be able to take out this Justice League level threat, because he is. Anytime he's been in the comics, it's involved either the Green Lantern Corps or the Justice League in full force, because he's that much of a threat. And I'm sorry, but no one on that cast, have I still got the shot? No one in this cast is a Justice League level competition. Unfortunately, I mean Mongal, who is I think it's the daughter of Mongol, who's a Superman level villain from Warworld. It's a little deep cut there. I mean Mongal is certainly very much a deep cut, but none of these are going to be taken on Justice League level threats, so I'm interested to see how they're going to be able to take that out. But yeah, look, overall, like I have to say, I'm lukewarm, I guess, is more apparent to the trailer as to what my expectations are on the Suicide Squad movie. I'm more excited to see STARRO and what happens than most, and Margot Robbie's Harley Quinn than really just the movie in general. Like, cool. I actually really like David Ayer's Suicide Squad. I just wish we actually got to see his proper version of it, not the trailer cut movie version that we got. Anyway, that's a story for another time. Anyway, let me know what you think. Comments below. Did you like that trailer? Are you excited for it? Let me know what you think. I'm pretty sure it's going to be a crowd pleaser. Like, a lot of the jokes, like, I don't want to sound like that guy, but dumb jokes go a long way with people. It's just Marvel's really kind of, I didn't want to say this, but Marvel's really kind of lowered the mental barrier, I guess, for entry with these kind of movies, where if you don't make them too much of a challenge and you have like easy jokes in there, people are going to like it. Yeah, that's going to piss some people off. I'm just going to move right on along here. So next up, the JSA, still on the same kind of train here. This is really going to be discussing some topics about Warner Brothers' new road ahead. So Justice League, or Justice Society of America, the JSA, is basically what it seems like that Warner Brothers are going to be going all in on. So who am I talking about? These are the people I'm talking about. Aldous Hodge, Hawkman. Noah Centineo, I think is how you say his name, as Atom Smasher. Dwayne Johnson's Black Adam. Quintessa Swindle's Cyclone. And Pierce Brosnan's Dr. Fate. He is my hype engine in this movie, besides Black Adam, of course. But Pierce Brosnan's, Kent Nelson, Dr. Fate, my god, I thought I'd never see Dr. Fate on the big screen. I love Dr. Fate. He's just such an awesome character. I can't wait to see him. So, like I said, it seems like Warner Brothers are going all in on, all right, we messed up Justice League completely. That's our big guns. What else do we have? Let's just go JSA, Justice Society of America. Yep. No one really knows who they are, but let's do it. It's all we've got. I'm just saying, like, good luck succeeding without your big seven. Like your Superman, your Batman, your Wonder Woman, your Green Lantern, your Aquaman, and your Martian Manhunter, or your Cyborg somewhere, and your Flash. So there's 7 or 8 characters there that are the big ones that everybody knows, that are in all the theme parks, that are on all the lunch boxes, that are on all the merchandise. I mean, stranger things have happened, man. James Gunn made Guardians of the Galaxy a household name, so I'm not going to write it out yet. But I'm excited as a DC Comics fan, because I thought I'd never see these characters on the big screen, so who knows? I mean, I just have to say, like, Zack Snyder's Justice League is a massive success right now, and Sarnoff coming out from the CEO of Warner Media saying, no, we're done, we're moving on, that part of our history is done with, be excited for the new stuff, which is pretty damning, I think. And it's just very tone deaf. You're setting up a multiverse here. You can do both. You can have your theatrical JSA, and you can just HBO Max Justice League or the Snyderverse or whatever. Like, there's plenty of places to make money here. You don't have to say no, this isn't happening. Like, you're just closing doors, which you shouldn't be doing. Not in today's world where content is king. Anyway, so what is the JSA? Just to give you a brief, I'm not going to give you history of, but just a brief kind of, if Justice League exists on one place, how are they going to explain this JSA when we only just got a Justice League movie? You know, how are we going to get around that? So I think they might be taking it, if it's a direct comic book adaptation or inspired by that, where the JSA traditionally is a golden age group that existed before the Justice League, like well back in like the 30s and 40s. I don't think they'll be going that far back on this movie, but I'm just saying they exist on Earth 2, they call it. And this roster that they're showing here doesn't include Jay Garrick, the Flash of the time, Alan Scott, sorry, of the Green Lantern at the time, Spectre, Hourman, and Obsidian, and I can keep going. But there were a lot more other characters on the JSA than here. Hawkman is there, Adam Smasher is there. Black Adam was only on the team in some stories, but he's always kind of been a villain. Cyclone, I'm actually really not familiar with. That's a deep cut. But Dr. Fate was on the team. So you've got like 3 out of the 5 there that were on there. But there are some stories where Black Adam was on the JSA for a brief time. I hope they have a scene in this where you've got Adam Smasher and Black Adam doing an arm wrestling competition. That's in the comics. I hope I see that. That'd be pretty cool. So, you know, I guess, I mean, Dwayne Johnson's been trying to get the Black Adam movie rolling for a decade. And his studio, his production company, they've been trying to get this moving for about a decade. And it's finally coming around now that delays have passed with COVID and all that kind of stuff. But I didn't realize they're adding all these characters in this movie as well. I just thought it was going to be a Black Adam-centric origin story with him in Kahndaq, you know, and him rising up, you know, after being like ostracized from the wizard Shazam, and how they're going to explain that and Shazam of today. Like, I don't know how they're going to tie in all of this kind of stuff. DC, man, Warner Brothers, all over the shop. Anyway, so yeah, I am excited for this. I can't wait. They start production next month in April. Dr. Fate, like I said, and Black Adam are the main things I'm excited about. Casting is just awesome. Like, these are great actors. I have zero complaints, really. You know, I was like, yep, cool, yep, that makes sense, that's all good, no worries. But I really want to focus on the Dr. Fate thing. For those of you who don't know who Dr. Fate is, that is Dr. Fate. Just such an awesome looking character. I personally think he could kick the like 10 colors of snot out of Doctor Strange. Like, he is like the DC's equivalent, or vice versa, of Doctor Strange to Marvel. So this Pierce Brosnan is like legitimately, there's no other version of Dr. Fate who'll be playing but Kent Nelson. So back in the golden age, there was a lot of characters that were archaeologists. You know, that they would just discover ancient things and get powers. That was just how it was back in the 30s and 40s. But yeah, he's an archaeologist, and he comes across the amulet and the helmet of fate, like the amulet of fate and the helmet of Naboo and all this kind of stuff. And he puts it on, and you know, he essentially becomes Dr. Fate. But he essentially basically like signs his life away, because once he puts it on, I don't know if they're going to go down this heavy, but once he puts on the helmet of fate, that's it. Like, that, he can't take it off unless something very like massive happens, or he dies or whatever, or you know, some powerful force removes it from him, or Naboo is this entity inside the helmet of fate, and he's battling with that all the time. I don't know how far deep they're going to go with that, but I can't wait. He's just such a dynamic looking character. Like, the gold helmet, it's iconic as hell. I've always wanted a replica Dr. Fate helmet. I just think it's so cool looking, and his costume as a whole is just majestic as hell and regal, and just, you don't want to muck with this guy. Like, Doctor Strange should be like shaking in his boots. Anyway, so why I'm making a key point on Dr. Fate here, is I think he'll be. I hope they're not giving him a disservice as to a background character. Like you don't hire Pierce Brosnan. Like Pierce Brosnan adds legitimacy to this movie as an actor and a name. You know, not just Dwayne Johnson. Everybody loves Dwayne Johnson, but the other actors on this cast are relative unknowns, really, to the mainstream. But people know who Pierce Brosnan is. So putting him on here does add an air of kind of, oh, okay, damn, cool, he's in this. You know, they'll gauge people's interests. You know, those older crowds or James Bond crowds and that kind of stuff. But I've watched Pierce Brosnan's movies for forever, so I'm excited to see him in this role. And I can't wait to see how he and Dwayne Johnson interact with each other in character. Like Dwayne Johnson, he's great. He does what he does. He's gotten better as an actor over the years, but he's still Dwayne Johnson in every role. So I expect it to be most the same here with Black Adam. I don't know if he's going to throw on like a Kandak accent or something. Who knows? But yeah, look, this is all good news. I mean, there's nothing really to complain about here until we know more. The other JSA heroes that I mentioned, I don't know, Our Man. Warner Brothers put out an article a couple of weeks ago saying they've got plans for an Our Man movie, and there was like a collective WTF, so that's why I'm saying, how are they going to go with this? I hope it's a success and we do get more Justice Society of America movies and they explore more of the old golden age heroes, and could be a bit of fun. It's just no Justice League, unfortunately, not for me. Let me know what you think below. Am I being a bit too harsh here? Like, it's more DC. I can't complain. I really can't. I just wish things were more cohesive over there and more connected. It's like they're just soft rebooting everything, going all in with this is a new start with a powerhouse like Dwayne Johnson, Black Adam. Like Shazam 2 started production. Are they going to tie it to this? Because Shazam is in the Snyderverse. They reference it specifically. You've got the kids talk about the death of Superman and the newspaper clippings of the in Man of Steel, like the world converters and that kind of stuff. And it's the Batman Batarang. Like it's all connected. So are they just going to pass all that off? I don't know. I really don't know. The anticipation is killing me. Anyway, let me know what you think below. I am interested to see if you guys know who the hell I've been talking about for the last 10 minutes. The JSA, what the hell? What the hell is the JSA? Alan Scott, the Alan Scott Green Lantern. If they put him in this, traditionally he's not of the Green Lantern Corps. It's like a magic ring of like the fire. It's like this green fire spirit of Earth kind of thing, and it's a long story. I don't know if they're gonna do that, but there's a Green Lantern Corps TV series being developed, so he's in that. So I'm interested to see what if all of this is going to tie together at all. Yeah, the more I talk about it, the more depressed I get. Anyway, yeah, so the Restore the Snyderverse thing, I don't have any imagery to support this, but I just want to have a brief chat about it. People of that movement who might see this clip might get a little annoyed at me, but I just have to say, positives out of the way first, Chris. Just come on. I don't know if you've noticed, but online for like a 24-hour period over the weekend or Friday, Saturday period, it was trending online over 1.5 million times of people tweeting the hashtag Restore the Snyder Cut. And that's broken all kinds of social media records. It beat Endgame. It's like 1.3 or 1.4 or something. And that was at the peak of Marvel fandom. And this is just like a fan movement, But it's not just fans. It's new people, new appreciators that saw this Zack Snyder's Justice League movie and finally understood where everything was going, and they loved it. All the trades were praising the movie. All the big publications were like, "Holy crap, that's great!" Even your YouTube channels, your media outlets that have been shitting on DC for years are like, "Damn, that was actually really good. And my YouTube feeds have been just non-stop churning out, like picking apart the movie, like so many topic videos. It's like, come on, even I'm getting sick of it. You know, and I've been there for like the last 4 years of like just sharing stuff and talking to people about it. But I'm just like, come on, like, we've got it now. Let's kind of take a break and appreciate it for a bit before we start swinging for something else. But unfortunately, it's led to some bad actors online posting the hashtag on everything that Warner Brothers posts, anything that Warner Media posts, anything that HBO Max posts, anything that the executives on either camps are posting. It's like, come on, you know, that's not how you get things done. The release the Snyder Cut movement was a lot more positive and a lot more like they did so much that you just couldn't ignore it, as far as like things doing in public, like billboards and flying planes of Warner Brothers and, you know, all that kind of stuff, where it's just, you could not ignore it. Some like sports stadiums, how they've got the screens around the stadium, that, you know, they put release the hashtag around on that. All that kind of stuff was happening. But this is more annoying harassment stuff. Like, yeah, I get what you're trying to do, but you're just going to end up getting muted or blocked by all these people anyway. So, you know, and I know it's a numbers game, and it's cool to be trending over 1.5 million tweets in a 24-hour period, and like having that record on and out there, you know. But going on to everything that Warner Media and these other publishers and stuff are posting, just making that comment repeatedly, you're more inclined to probably get them to just ignore you altogether as far as a fandom, and go, nah, we're done with this. We're not gonna bolt, what's the word I'm looking for? We're not gonna bend the knee to this kind of harassment. Let's just keep going and move on with our new vision that we've got going. And we've done our part. We gave them a $70 million gift, you know, peace offering. Let's just move on. I see that happening. I really do. Unfortunately, like, I would love to see a continuation of that Snyderverse, even if it's not like, even if Zack isn't called back. I just want to see those characters in other movies, you know, in their own solo movies, or another director have another go at a sequel as a follow-up to this, and you can still do the dark side stuff, you know. There's ways around it if you want to remove the stigma of Zack Snyder. I'm not putting a negative out there. I love Zack Snyder and his work. I would love him to come back for a sequel tomorrow. But I just think Warner Brothers doesn't want anything to do with him, unfortunately. So hopefully we get something from HBO Max. But, you know, I just feel a bit, I don't know, not guilty, but I feel cringy, I guess. Every time I open up my Twitter feed and my social feeds and my YouTube feeds, it's just like, Restore the Snyderverse everywhere, you know, and it's cool to see, but come on, let's just see what happens, man, you know, and let's see what they put out for us. It might be good stuff, and if we're more positive out there and we keep doing positive things, and we don't paint ourselves as a nuisance, which is kind of looking like it is, you know, there might be something that could happen. But if this is what we do every time we don't get what we want, you know, like a cranky little child, they're more inclined to just ignore us altogether. Anyway, that's all I really wanted to say on it. I didn't articulate it as well as I wanted to, but you get what I'm trying to say. And that's coming from me, which is like, I've been preaching this shit for years, that I've wanted it to happen and wanted it to come back. But even I'm kind of getting over it. You know, I'm exhausted, mentally exhausted from that commitment. You know, I can only imagine what the actual people that are involved are, how tired they are of it, you know. So who knows? I don't want to be negative about it. I understand it's the fans reaching out for something that they want. Like, they ideally want this to continue, and they don't understand why the companies that can make it happen don't want a buyer of it. You know, they're the gatekeepers here now. You know, they gave us that expensive present, and they're now the gatekeepers of what we get. It's totally up to them. You might not like it, but that's just how it is. Anywho, that's enough about that negativity. Last topic today is the episode 2 of Falcon and Winter Solider. I did talk about it last week, and I'm actually quite enjoying this show. So let's talk about episode 2. I do feel it was a bit of a stronger episode, to be honest. It feels like the story is really starting to open up and the characters are having more time to do things. I actually prefer the more solitary scenes than the action-oriented ones in this episode. I'm finding the more quieter parts of the show more interesting than the bombastic parts. Just getting to know the characters a bit more. Like, for example, the fight scene on the road with the trucks, it felt a bit lacking, I guess, if I had to be a bit critical here. There were so many camera cuts that I didn't quite understand who was fighting and where. It just didn't work well for me at all, and I couldn't make out who was who and who are they all super soldiers. Is Sam the only super soldier that's not on those trucks? Like, he's not a super soldier, I know. What I'm trying to say is Sam the only person in that fight who's not a super soldier? I'm just unclear about a few things there, because when the new Cap guy rocks up, jumps out of the helicopter, starts owning people with a shield, and his mate as well. Like, he name drops himself like 4 times, and I'm like, all right. Yeah, no worries, mate. Like, I've already forgotten your name, Hoskins or something. It's Battlestar, I think it is. It just seemed a bit real try hard, and I don't know if that's what they were trying to go for. The guy like jumps out after the new Captain America, and everybody's like, who are you? My name's Hoskins. Look at the camera, wink. Or after the fight, and what's your name again? My name's Hoskins. All right. He's like a little Pokemon dude. Hoskins. Yeah, I don't know. I didn't really like the guy. Like, whatever. I'm not familiar with who Battlestar is, but it's funny they laughed. They kind of made a joke out of that where he says, oh, yeah, I go by Battlestar. And like, what? Battlestar? Like, really? I thought that was pretty funny. But yeah, the new Cap, he got his ass handed to him pretty quick on that fight. Whereas the previous episode, they were talking, or was it earlier in the episode, sorry, where they were just discussing about how skilled he is. Yeah, they have a little montage there on Good Morning America, and they have a montage of him training and talking about how skilled he is and all this kind of stuff. It's like, oh, wow, okay, like, this might be a bit legit. And I'm still uncertain. They're a bit vague if he is a super soldier or not. It just doesn't seem like he and Hoskins don't seem like they are. I don't know. Super soldiers, usually they're depicted as bigger people. I don't want to say anything otherwise, but like, you look at Chris Evans, and obviously depending on the movie, he's got a bit more padding in his suit, but when he shows up. Like, Chris Evans shows up in those movies where he beefs up for the role, and you can believe that he's a super soldier in some respects, But this guy is a bit of a diminutive stature compared to like Sam and Bucky, and even in his suit doesn't make it seem like he is a super soldier. Like, he just looks like a dude wearing a suit. So I just find that hard to believe. But then he gets his ass handed to him on the trucks. Like, yeah, he can throw the shield around, but he doesn't know how to fight worth a damn, but he survived a fall off the truck into a car, so maybe he does have abilities. I don't know. It's just that scene didn't really answer any questions for me. I thought, cool, this is going to be the first time we're going to see these false prophets in action, and it was a disappointment. I thought they would come down and kind of just show Sam and Bucky that they mean business. They have the goods, but all they did was make me doubt them more. But maybe that's what the story was trying to tell. I don't know. Who knows? Anyway, but the conflict in the show between Sam and Bucky is the best part about it. Is the best part about this series so far. To the point where I think it's making out like Sam is just dropping something off the screen there. That Sam is like the weak point, almost, of the cast. Like, he's just not. I enjoyed what he was doing in the first episode. I was like, cool, all right, I'm interested to see where this goes. But this episode, I guess maybe they had too much to tell in this one episode where his part was diminished a bit, and he just came off as a bit of a weak link in the show's cast at the moment. I assume that might change just based on the trailers that you've seen. There's more stuff in the trailers that we haven't seen yet, so I'll reserve my judgment until that point. But what I really liked is I could tell through Bucky in the first episode, and even this one, and maybe even to another extent Infinity War and Endgame, particularly where Cap hands the shield to Sam, where I was like, man, Bucky, you just got cucked by your best friend. What the hell? You know, I thought that was a bit wrong. Like, I guess maybe it subverted expectations a bit, and Sam has been known to have the shield in the mantle of Captain America in the comics, but Sam's not Steve's best friend. Bucky is, you know, and they've been through a lot together and a lot of history there, and even before everything went down. So they kind of answer that and challenge that in this movie, in this show, where they have that scene of the one-on-one, and Bucky kind of lets his guard down a bit and was like, you know, you shouldn't have given that shield away. You know, he's obviously angry and upset about it. You know, you just gave away Steve's legacy. Maybe he was wrong about you and me. You know, that line that he gave and how he was delivered was like, damn, like you kind of just said what you wanted to say there the whole time, where Steve Rogers might have been wrong about Sam and might have been wrong about not giving it to Bucky as well. Because Bucky, I think, you know, Bucky obviously wants that shield as it's the last part of his best friend that's around, and all the legacy that has with it and behind it, that I think he might feel he's deserving of it, and it could be his path of a proper redemption, you know, to have his own like redemption arc as carrying on Steve's work. You know, I think that's where Bucky's character is right now, and that was really cool to see. I liked that scene. That was really good. Like, character moments like that I really enjoy, and it's good to see from a Marvel property, right? Like, you don't really see too much of that. It's just all slapstick and jokes most of the time. So I'm really enjoying this a lot better than WandaVision, man, far out. So I can't wait to see what next week brings. But that scene aside, there's another awesome scene where they go meet someone that Bucky knows from way back in the day when he was still doing his Winter Soldier stuff, and he admits to Sam that, you know, there's someone that you need to meet. So they rock up to this guy's house, but there's a funny scene before they get to the house, where he's walking down the street and this kid's like calling out to Sam going, oh, it's the Black Falcon, you know. And Sam walks over to him and goes, it's just Falcon. No, my dad said that you're called the Black Falcon. And he goes, all right, so what, because I'm black? Like, you're black and you're a kid, so are you Black Kid? You know, that's all he had to say, is to explain away like the whole history of the naming conventions back in the day, where almost every black character or black hero or black villain had black in their name. You know, it was a running thing. So I love how they kind of answered that here, where it's true, like he just goes by Falcon these days, and most other heroes that were of the time are just, you know, they drop the black off the name. So that was cool. That was cool to see they address that, and in such a good, honest, like wholesome way. You know, it was just funny. How else do you have to get around it? That was a good way to get around it for everybody. Anyway, so when they get to this house, it turns out the guy that's been living there is this Captain America type super soldier that existed like way back in the day, like during the World Wars and stuff, like Bucky did. And they talk about how the last time they saw each other was you know, when he kicked Bucky's ass, you know, took half his arm off and that kind of stuff. And I just wanted to see if he got his arm back, you know, that kind of stuff. That was a really, really good scene, but it went in a different way that I didn't expect. Anyway, so the guy that they end up meeting is this fella. Now, Isaiah Bradley, I believe his name is, you know, he's a black Captain America type that fought in World War II, as I just described. But what happens is they describe that he got locked away in prison for 30 years after all the wars and stuff like that. And the government like squashed his existence. Nobody knew he was there. They did tests on him. They took his blood and they tried to, do experiments on him. And they just come into his cell and grab him whenever they need him. And it was a pretty powerful scene. Like, he's really pissed off. The actor was so good. Like, you really felt that scene and the way it was executed, and the way like Sam Wilson was reacting, and Bucky was like on edge as well. And the guy gets so pissed off during talking to me, throws this tin can into a wall, just showing that he's still got the super strength in him. Anyway, he has enough, and he tells him to get stuff, like get out of his house. He doesn't want to talk about it. But I think that was a good moment to acknowledge that this character does exist, and it was good for Sam to see it. And it just adds another layer of complexity to Bucky's relationship with Sam, because Sam asked him, like, did you know? And did Steve know? Going back to Civil War, like where Steve knew about Tony Stark's parents being killed by Bucky. But this, Bucky says, no, nobody knew. Like, Steve didn't know, only I knew that he was still around, or that he existed in the first place. The government just squashed it completely. So that was cool to see. I do wonder if we're going to see him again. Maybe like towards the later part of the series, he might come out of hiding to help for the greater cause. I mean, that'd be awesome to see. Maybe he gets geared up in a little outfit like that. That'd be pretty badass. I do like the headpiece and the old school like badge shield looking thing. But yeah, then they go into some of the times kind of scene where the police rock up while they're arguing to each other in the street. Racial profiling, and they have a little commentary on that kind of scene, which was that was a bit of a tense moment there. But anyway, look, I really enjoyed that whole part of that show. Was the strongest part of that episode, from when they start walking to the house and they talk to their kid, till when Bucky gets taken away by the police when they realize who Sam is. It's one of those things where the police they were racial profiling Sam before they realized that he was a Falcon, and then just backed off and, oh, I'm sorry. Because you hear that's happening so many times in the world. There's a bit of social commentary. But yeah, so Bucky gets taken away because he broke his agreement with his therapist or whatever, because he didn't turn up. He missed one. So apparently that's grounds for arrest. And then that spills into the scene that I mentioned just earlier, where they're confronting each other, and Bucky breaks the walls down and tells Sam that he's disappointed, and he should have had the shield and all that kind of stuff that I mentioned just before. All of that is good stuff, and I'm talking about that at length because the action hasn't been that good. It's the smaller moments of this show so far that have been what I'm more enticed to, which is interesting. But I don't know if that's what the show is going for. Like, I have to be mindful when I'm giving my perspective on all this kind of stuff. Is like, the reactions that I'm explaining, there's a high possibility that they could be manufactured by the script and the story writers, that I'm meant to be feeling this way about certain scenes or the show in general, where maybe it is meant to be more of a character specific show, not so much leaning on the action. So who knows? I want more of it, and it looks like we're going to get more of it in the next episode, because we're going to finally see Zemo. Well, they just round up the episode with Bucky's like, I need to speak to someone who still has connections to Hydra, and there's only one person that's going to know anything about this and what's going on with the super soldier serums and all the super soldiers popping up since the blip, and that's Zemo. We're going to go talk to Zemo. So that was cool. I think the ending of this episode would have been much stronger if they didn't give that wink name drop to the audience and just let us find out, and just let the show reveal who it is, who they're going to meet. Like, they could have just ended it by saying, I know someone, not in so many words because they did it early on the show, but if they rounded it off going, look, we need to find out about this super soldier stuff that's popping up. I know someone that we can talk to, blah, blah, blah. And it just rolls out to the rest of the show. Have the music playing, and pans down the hallway and into the cell, and you realize it's the same actor who played Zemo, and you're like, oh, it's Zemo, holy crap. But instead they spoiled it before we got there. I don't know, that's just one critique on the episode, if anything, and the action scenes just weren't that great. But I don't really care so much about the flag smashes so far. Like, they're just a bunch of ragtag super soldier people. Cool. They don't seem like much of a threat at the moment. Like, I don't really care about them too much. I don't know if I'm meant to, but yeah, I care more about what's happening with Sam and Bucky at the moment. The only threat, I don't really feel a threat happening yet, unless I'm missing something completely. But nothing's, I think I'm feeling that because they don't know really yet. Everything's just kind of happening and unfolding, and that's fine. TV shows, that's how it is. This isn't a movie. We're not expected to find out everything within the first hour. So maybe in the next episode things might start rolling along. Zemo might give some information drops. We might see Agent 13, which I'm hoping we'll see, and get some more history on what happened with her. So I mean, I am really into this show. I wouldn't be talking about it at length if I wasn't digging it. So let me know what you're thinking on this show is so far. Like, are you enjoying it more than WandaVision? I totally understand why people love WandaVision, but it just didn't have me. I just wasn't invested in it. Sure, it had some cool moments, and I think the first 4 episodes are the weakest part of that show. Even retrospectively, like when you've seen the whole show and you go, oh, okay, when they touch on things that happened in the first 4 episodes, and you go, oh, okay, that's why that's there. I think that's a bit cheap. They didn't need all that to happen. Whereas this seems like it's a more proper structured show where you're finding out things as the characters are finding out. Nothing's really telegraphed too much, which I enjoy. So bring it on, man. Next week, I can't wait to see it. I haven't even talked about the Lois and Superman and Lois show. They're like 4 episodes in yet. I've got to catch up on it. Yeah, I'm really terrible with watching TV shows. Really, really bad with it. I've only seen the first episode of it, so I'm going to catch up on it over the next couple of days. And I might start dropping that in here. I don't want to make this show like every week of just touchstoning all these shows. Like, there's so much stuff that happens throughout the week. That's how I want to talk about, that I have to kind of keep it to 3 or 4 topics, So I don't want to run it over time or just waffle on about too much shit. Just the stuff that really caught my eye during the week, and that's what these 4 topics are that I've talked about today. So yeah, that was episode 34. Yeah, I think I'm gonna wrap it up now. I think my dinner is going to be delivered any moment now. I'm delivering food. I haven't bought groceries because in a couple of days I'm going away, so I haven't bought too much food to last for dinners for the next few nights. Man, I can't wait. It's a big burrito. Yeah, a big, awesome burrito with guacamole and sour cream and pulled pork and slow cooked steak, and I can't wait. Bring it on. I'm hungry now. I'm talking about food to you. Episode 34 done. Let's get out of the way. And as always, I play this sound clip.
And may the power protect you.
Till all are one. Bumblebee tuna.
Indeed. Subscribe, like, and all that stuff. Join the Chunt Corps. I'll see you next week. Toodle pip.
Like, comment, subscribe.